Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. This morning we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 13. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord is said to be Krita Krita, the doer and the non-doer simultaneously. As the non-doer, he is the source of everything. Just like a gold mine. The mine in the hillside is the source of all kinds of golden objects. The Lord is also the Vastu. He's the substance itself, the gold itself. And, moreover, he is the goldsmith. He is the one who takes the gold and shapes it into rings and bracelets and necklace and so many other things. So this is the meaning, Krita Krita. He is both the source or the cause as well as the effect. This is the way we must understand the first word of this verse, Eko. Eko means he or one alone, he alone. Yesterday, in yesterday's verse, you heard how there are some persons, neophytes in spiritual understanding, who make a difference between the Lord and His creation, the cause and the effect. These neophytes are the impersonalists. So they have a slogan, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. It means Brahman. And what is Brahman? Who knows how Brahman is defined? What is the definition? How is it defined in Prabhupada's books? From the Vedanta Sutra. No one know? That's one definition. But I'm thinking in terms of what we're talking about. The cause and effect. So what is Brahman? Yeah, but in terms of cause and effect. Someone remembers? There's a, from Vedanta Sutra, Janmadyasya Yataha. Janmadyasya Yataha. This is the definition of Brahman. That Brahman is the source of everything. So, they say, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. They say, these impersonalists, that Brahman as the source is real. But Jagan Mithya, the Jagan, what does Jagan mean? Who knows? Jagat? Huh? The universe. Yes. So they say Jagan Mithya. The universe is unreal. It is false. It has no substance, no truth. So these impersonalists, you see, it's a funny contradiction that they claim to be, they call themselves Advaitavada or Advaitists. That means they believe that truth is one or God is one, everything is one. But yet in their philosophy, they make two. They say Brahman as the source is real. That is reality. But the effect, this world, that is illusion. But Bhagavatam philosophy says oneness, ekka, just like we see, ekka means one. The real oneness is that Brahman is the cause, he is also the substance, therefore he is also the effect. And yet within this oneness, there is still variety, difference. And the nice example to help us understand is the example of the spider and his web. So the spider is the source. Now, that web, what is the substance of the web? Yes, the spider's own body. So the web, in that sense, is not different from the spider. But there's also a difference. Although, when we see, you see a spider web. Say you go up into the top of the house, and you see a big spider web. Then you immediately think the spider. You immediately think. You cannot see the spider web without thinking of the spider. Mm-hmm. But yet, there is a difference. Mm-hmm. And the spider is also the maker of the web, the doer. Mm-hmm. So in this way, you see, we can understand Krishna's relationship with his this cosmic manifestation, his own energy. The Lord, his energy, and the display of his energy are one, and yet there is still distinctions between them. And that distinction is seen in the fact that the Lord is always transcendental. That's why Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is called Achincha Veda Veda Tattva, inconceivable.
Ето защо философията на Бог Читания е наречена Ачинча Веда Веда Татва, което означава невъобразимо.
Achincha means that although everything is one, the Lord still never comes under the control of his material energy like the living entities do.
Ачинча означава, че въпреки че Богът и творението са едно и също нещо, той никога не попада под влиянието на нашата енергия, както
You see, one may say, well, within this material creation, there is so much distress, there is so many faults, so many contaminations.
Човекът се догледа в този свят може да види, че има толкова много несъвършенства, толкова много страдания.
So if everything is one, that means those faults are also the Lord's faults. Those distresses, those contaminations, they're also the Lord's.
И тогава човек може да си мисли, ако всичко е едно, тогава тези замърсявания, тези грешки, тези несъвършенства, те са на Бога.
But you cannot say that.
Но вие не може да кажете.
And that's why Achincha, inconceivably one and different. Because the Lord does not come under the control of the material energy. He is not subject to our mental speculation.
Ето защо тази философия е наречена Ачинча, невъобразима, защото Богът не може да бъде постигнат посредством нашето естество.
Again, this becomes very easy when we remember the example of the spider.
Това може да бъде също много лесно разбрано, ако си върнем да примерно за парек.
Because the spider makes a web, and all insects that fly in this web are caught.
Защото парекът прави паяжина и всички насекоми, които летят, падат.
So, if you hear, all insects that enter the spider web are caught, then by logic you will think spider is an insect, the spider must also be caught.
И ако вие чуете всички насекоми, които попаднат в паяжина, се оплитат, и може да си помислите, значи парекът също е насекомо, той също трябва да се оплита.
But the spider has inconceivable power.
В парекът има една невъобразима сила.
He can walk on his own web and not be caught.
Той може да се движи по своята паяжина без да бъде скрит.
He goes anywhere he wants in the spider web.
Той ходи където си пожелава в своята паяжина.
And he's never stuck.
И никога не бива да стане.
Also, when the spider has little babies,
Също когато парекът има малко деца.
so his own or her own little babies also can go anywhere and not be caught.
Тогава неговите малки парчета могат също да ходят навсякъде и също да не бъдат.
So the Lord and the Lord's devotee, they appear within this world as if they were ordinary living entities.
Така, Богът и неговите предани отдадени, когато се появяват в този свят, те наподобяват обикновени индивиди.
But inconceivably, they're always transcendental.
Но по един невъобразим начин те са винаги трансцендентални.
That you will find when you read the Krishna book. You will find when Krishna is enacting some particular pastime, sometimes the great sages or the demigods, they're remarking, oh, isn't this wonderful? The Lord is acting just like an ordinary person.
Как Богът действа точно, съвсем наподобявайки обикновени люди.
But he's not.
Но всъщност той не е.
He is the supreme Brahman.
Той е върховният Брахман.
He is the source of everything.
Той е източникът на всичко.
He is the substance of everything.
Той е субстанцията на всичко.
And he is the doer, the only doer.
И той е този, който прави.
You see? But although he's the doer, he's the actor, Krita, he's never entangled, Akrita.
Но въпреки, че той е този, който прави всичко, той
He's never entangled.
той никога не бива открит.
So that's the meaning, Krita Krita. He's the doer, and yet he's the non-doer.
Това е смисъл едновременно вършителят и неизбежен.
Or he's, as we said, the cause as well as the effect.
Или, по друг начин казано, причината, както и ефект.
Now, the living entity may also, the conditioned living entity, who foolishly thinks himself independent of Krishna, he may also be called Krita Krita.
Едно глупаво възприемано живо същество, също може да себе си.
But in this sense, Krita Krita means done and undone.
В този смисъл, крита означава извършено и неизвършено.
Means in his foolish attempt to be independent, you see, he tries to enjoy, but he is never the enjoyer.
В своето глупаво усилие да се наслаждава, то се опитва да постигне наслаждение.
You see? You understand? He's acting like he's an enjoyer. Krita. He's acting like that.
Той действа като крита, все едно е наслаждава.
He's driving up in big Mercedes car in some before some discotheque in Sofia.
Той кара някакво огромно Мерцедес в някаква дискотека.
And he's wearing expensive fur coat.
И носи скъпи дрехи.
And he has a very fancy hat.
Има някакво много
And he has a big cigar.
и голяма сега.
And he has many rings, diamond rings on his finger.
И много диамантни пръстени.
And he has the beautiful Maya Devi on his arm.
И също така една хубава Майя Деви.
So when you see him, you think, oh, he must be the enjoyer.
Който човек го види, си мисли, той трябва да е наслаждава.
But he's not the enjoyer.
Но той не е наслаждава.
This is the sense. Krita Krita.
Това е смисъл крита.
He tries to enjoy, but he's not the enjoyer. He acts as if he's independent, but he's not independent.
Той действа като че ли наслаждава се, но не се наслаждава. Той действа като че ли независим от него.
So that means that whatever he's doing in this world is never completed.
Това означава, че каквото и да прави той в този свят, то никога не е завършено.
Now, if you meditate on this point, you will see then why there are endless reactions to the actions of the conditioned soul.
Ако медитирате в този момент, може да разберете защо има постоянни реакции на действията на
You see? He tries to enjoy, but he's not the enjoyer.
той се опитва да се наслаждава, но всъщност не е наслаждава.
So he's never able to complete that action of enjoying.
Така че той никога не може да завърши този процес на наслаждение.
Therefore, that action follows him life after life.
Така че тези дейности следват живот.
So in the beginning, he's thinking, yes, let me enjoy. But because he can never really enjoy, he never really completes the enjoyment. Therefore, he never shakes off the effects of his attempt to enjoy. And it haunts him and causes him so much trouble.
В началото той си казва, нека се наслаждава, но тъй като той никога не може да завърши процес на наслаждение, той не може да изостави своето желание да се наслаждава. И така това желание го преследва през
So therefore, at the end, you heard yesterday in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, at the end they become so frustrated with their attempt to enjoy that then they want to end it all by, again, this impersonalism, which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say is spiritual suicide.
Прабхупада, в крайна сметка те стават напълно разочаровани и това, което желаят е да се слеят. Това, което учил Бахта Сиданта Сарасвати нарича духовни книги.
They want to end their existence as enjoyers,
Те желаят да прекратят със своето съществуване на света.
as persons. They want to end their existence in the affect, in the jagat, and merge into the cause, Brahman.
Те желаят да прекратят своето съществуване в джагат, творението и да се слеят с
But that is also krita krita. That is also an action they cannot complete. Why is that? Because again, this word, eka, there is no difference between the cause and the effect. The real problem is that they have a wrong relationship with Krishna. Whether here in the material world or in the spiritual world, their relationship is all wrong. Here in the material world, they're trying to enjoy Krishna's energy separately from Krishna. That's wrong. And in the spiritual world, what do they want? They want to become one with Krishna, merge with Him, be Him. No, it's always wrong. Doesn't matter. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. So, therefore, yes, they're on the wrong path. Just like there's an old story from the Sanskrit language of one Brahmana whose name was Krita Krita. And this Brahmana, he got on the wrong path. A Brahmana should be a student of the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge. And he should worship the Lord by performance of sacrifice. These are the proper duties of a Brahmana. But this Brahman, unfortunate Brahman, Krita Krita, he gave up the right path. He neglected Vedic study. He neglected sacrifice. And instead, he got involved in what is called Tantra, or black magic. And sinful activities. So he was always gambling and eating meat and drinking wine and associating with prostitutes. These kind of activities. So one night, while he was performing some black rituals in the what is called the Samasta Chetra, or the burning ground, crematorium. There's always outside of towns and villages in India, there is a place where bodies are burned. And these burning grounds are the haunts of ghosts and other evil spirits, and the tantrics go there to perform their magic. So he was in the burning ground one night, midnight, doing some ritual, and a evil supernatural being, which is called Vetala, something like vampire, Vetala, it came before him. A Vetala is a subtle being which enters dead bodies and brings them to life. Then the dead body walks around and eats human flesh. So it's something like vampire or zombie. So this Vetala appeared before Krita and said, "I want to eat the flesh of a Brahmin." If you don't give me the flesh of a Brahmin, I will kill you. And because Krita, being a tantric, so he knew how to deal with these creatures. So he said, "Yes, I will bring you the flesh of a Brahmin, but you have to give me something in return." And the Vetala said, "All right, you bring me the flesh of a Brahmin, and I will give you the power by which you can bring dead bodies to life." So Krita said, "That's not enough. I want more." So finally they settled that the Vetala would give him not only the power to revive, to bring dead bodies to life, but also the Vetala gave him some special dice, gambling dice, that by which he would always win in gambling. So then this Krita, he went home. He thought, now I have to bring this Vetala, dead body of a Brahmin. So he went home, and the only Brahmin he could see was his own brother. So he killed his brother, brought the brother's dead body to the crematorium and gave it to the Vetala, who very greedily ate it up. So after that, then Krita, he would go gambling with his new dice, and he was winning lots of money. He was very happy. So then one night, he thought, so let me test this other power. So he went back to the crematorium. And he got one dead body, freshly dead body, a chandala body, low class man.
И той донесъл едно скоро тяло на скоро умрял човек, който бил чандала.
And he laid the body out, and then he sat down next to it, and he started to chant the mantra that the Vetala had taught him to awaken the dead body.
Той го поставил да леги на земята, седнал до него и започнал да повтаря мантите, които Ветала му бил казал.
So, as he was chanting the mantra, he got halfway through, and at that point, halfway through, then the left side of the dead body began to move.
И когато стигнал до средата на тези манти, изведнъж лявата страна на мъртвото тяло започнала да се движи.
So the left eye opened, and the eye was rolling around very fearfully.
Лявото око се отворило и започнало да се върти много страшно.
And the left arm and the left leg began to jerk around.
И лявата ръка и левия крак започнали да се върти.
And the left half of the mouth opened.
И лявата част на устата се отворила.
So seeing this, Krita became so frightened
Видейки това, Крита толкова силно се сплаши.
that he forgot the rest of the mantra.
Забравил остатъка от мантрата.
So then this half awakened dead body began to sit up,
Това наполовина съживено мъртво тяло започва да се изправи.
and began to reach for him with the left hand.
Започнало да се протяга към него с лявата ръка.
And the ghostly body spoke through the left side of the mouth one word in Sanskrit.
С лявата част на устата си това тяло обладано да казвало една дума на санскрит.
Which is Unadika Kritam, which means what you have done is not enough, is too much, and nothing at all.
И това, което казвало мъртвото тяло, че това, което си направил, не е достатъчно, то е твърде много и не е изобщо нищо.
Actually, this word, Unadika Kritam, it's a very good explanation of material activity.
Много добро обяснение на материалните.
It's never enough, but it's also too much.
Никога не е достатъчно, но в същото време е тумък.
And yet at the same time, it's nothing at all,
И в същото време не е абсолютно нищо.
because it's just Maya.
Е просто мая.
It has no significance.
Няма никаква стойност.
Just as Prabhupada always said, just a waste of time.
Просто както Прабхупада казва.
So, Unadika Kritam. This is what that ghost said to him as he was reaching for him. So the ghost was very angry at Krita that you only brought me half to life. So the Brahmin, Krita, he, in great fear, he ran from the crematorium. And that zombie was coming after him, dragging the right side of the body behind. So Krita, he managed to get on a horse and he rode away from that place and came to another city far away. And then in that city, he joined the company of gamblers. And he was, with his magic dice, he was winning much money. And he was thinking, I'm safe. I'm in a new place and I'm surrounded by new friends. But one night when he was with his gambling friends and he was playing the dice, suddenly there was a sound from outside, a sound of very awkward steps and dragging.
Но една нощ, когато бил със своите много приятели, отвън къщата се чува един странен звук на силно стъпване и влачене.
And suddenly the door burst open, and in the door there was this same half-moving dead body.
И вратата изведнъж се разтворила и там се появил същото това наполовина изгубено тяло.
So it was advancing on the left leg, and the left arm was reaching, and the left eye was rolling, and the left part of the mouth was moving, and the right side was all rotting, dead, rotting flesh.
И това изглеждало много ужасно. Лявата ръка и левият крак, лявата ръка се стягала напред, лявата част се стягала, лявото око изгледало много ужасно, а дясната част на тялото била гнила.
And this ghostly creature was crying, Unadika kritam kritam.
И това ужасно същество повтаряло Унадика критам критам.
What you have done is too little, and too much, and nothing at all.
Всичко, което направи, не е достатъчно, в същото време е твърде много и не е изобщо нищо.
So, seeing this, all those gamblers, they died of heart attack.
И виждайки всичко това, всички тези всички тези комарджи умряли от сърдечни удари.
The gambler, Kritam Kritam, Brahmana, he managed to escape.
Но този брамана успял да избяга.
And again he traveled long distance
И отново той пропътувал много голямо разстояние.
and went to another city.
И отишъл в друг град.
And there he took up with a prostitute.
И там той се придружил към една проститутка.
He was living with her in her house.
Той живеел в нейната.
So one night he was sitting with her, and again at the door there was a dragging sound.
И една нощ той също така спокойно стоял с нея и отвън вратата се чува отново този навлачен.
And the door burst open, and in came this living, half dead body. And by this time, the right half, the dead half, all the flesh had rotted away. There were only bones. One half of the body was just a skeleton. The other half had flesh. And the eye was rolling, and the hand was reaching.
И отново вратата се разтворила и се появил това наполовина тяло. Но този път дясната част била напълно изгнила, месото било изпадало напълно и останали само костите. Така че наполовина това било живо, протягало се до костно завърши се въртяло, а дясната част била просто част от теле.
And the ghost cried, Unadikam Kritam Kritam.
И този дух отново повтарял Унадика.
What you have done is too little, too much, and nothing.
Това, което направи, не е достатъчно, то е твърде много и не е нищо.
So the prostitute, she dropped dead up front.
И проститутката също умряла.
And the Brahmin, Krita, he could not find any way to escape except the window to the street, but this was high up, this was on an upper floor. So he jumped from the window and killed himself.
И този брамана нямал друго място, където да избяга,
So like that, the living entity foolishly, out of shock at the reaction of his own activities, which come after him life after life, like a zombie. The foolish living entity sometimes attempts to commit suicide by merging into Brahman. Or what happens when you commit suicide? What happens? Yes, become a ghost. This means you have no body, but still the mind is there, consciousness is there, and desires of it. So one is always troubled by unfulfilled material desires, but he has no body in which to satisfy them. A ghost feels hunger, feels thirst, he feels sex desire, he also wants to have company with other people. But he cannot satisfy any of these desires because there's no body. So the ghost comes among people. And he's just trying to, you see, he's trying to associate with those people, get something to eat, get some friendship. Generally, the ghosts, they're not even able to make themselves noticed. They're just in the ether trying to, there's some person, let's say, sitting at his table eating, and the ghost is also trying to eat and saying to the person, give me something, give me something. But the person cannot notice him because he's a ghost. And if somehow or other the ghost is powerful enough that the person does notice him, then it's a big disturbance. Oh! So it's a very unfortunate situation. So similarly, in the Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual effulgence, the jiva has no body, although his consciousness is there and desires are there. There is no way to fulfill his desires. But after a long, Lord Shiva, he can be granted a body in the material world again. Just as Lord Shiva is Bhutanath, he is the Lord of all the ghosts, and he arranges that they get material bodies. So similarly, Lord Shiva, he presides over this region, this impersonal region between Vaikuntha and the Mayadam. And he also arranges that these divas in the Brahma Jyoti can enter the material world and get body.
той е този, който позволява на живите същества да приемат материалната.
So, therefore there's no solution. Is there no solution? Yes, there is a solution. One has to accept one's rightful position and establish oneself in the proper relationship with Krishna. You see, as I said, these conditioned souls, wayward souls, they're on the wrong path, whether in the material world or even in the spiritual world. Their relationship with Krishna is wrong. And therefore they're never able to attain happiness, either spiritually or materially. You know, just like sometimes you see a funny film of the person, the man, who's trying to attain success, trying to enjoy. Even sometimes all arrangement is there. He's got money, he's got, you see, a nice home or this or that, all the facility, but because there's something wrong with him, he spoils it. So, yes, when the jiva is insisting on thinking of himself as the independent doer, the independent enjoyer, the independent doer, then unadika kritam kritam. Whatever he does is too little, also too much, and also nothing. It means it simply gives him trouble. Whatever he does is simply trouble, more trouble, following in life after life. Even if he goes into the Brahmajyoti, still the trouble is there. He has to come back down. So, what is our position? We are helpless servants of Krishna. Helpless means like little children. Fully dependent. We should never think of ourselves as being intelligent, as being powerful, as being skillful and expert. No, we are helpless. Yet we are also servants. So we must try to serve sincerely, thinking that what can I do? I cannot do anything really, but still I must serve. So please, my dear Lord, accept my attempt. And it's this attitude that Krishna appreciates so much. Actually, even in this, he shows the way. You see, we have to follow Krishna's example. So even in this, Krishna shows. You've seen the painting when Lord Krishna, as little child, is bringing the shoes of his father on his head. So in this particular pastime, Lord Krishna is appearing as a helpless child. So with great effort, he's taking the sandals, the shoes of his father, and placing them unsteadily on his head, and he's coming in with awkward steps to his father to present his shoes. And Nanda Maharaj is so pleased. Nanda Maharaj is not considering the seeming imperfections in Krishna's bringing those shoes. Because after all, Krishna is a small child. And moreover, what Krishna is doing is with pure love. So in this way, Krishna shows the right path, the right attitude that the living entity should have to him. Out of love, sincere love for Krishna, we should attempt to serve him. And because we are so small and helpless, then what we do for Krishna will never be perfect from some, idealistic point of view. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, that every endeavor in this world is covered by some sort of fault. Srila Prabhupada said, you can find fault in me, although we know Prabhupada is pure devotee, but someone might find fault that, when he's giving lecture, his English is not perfect, because he's not originally English-speaking person. But that so-called perfection is anyway not perfection. That's just more unadikam kutam. What is perfection is that Krishna accepts our service. Whether it's expert or not expert. What Krishna accepts is the loving sincerity of his devotee. And Krishna says, Ananyas chintantamam ye jana paripasate tesham nitya vyuktanam yogachema vahamyaham. That for one who serves me in this way, sincerely, simply taking shelter of me only, and doing his best, then I carry what he lacks. In other words, whatever he's lacking, I provide. And whatever he has, I preserve. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the activities of a devotee are all perfect because they are accepted by Krishna. Mm-hmm. Krishna backs up the activities of his devotee.
Кришна подкрепя, помага дейността.
Just like a poor man may start a business. It's very difficult because he has no money. But if some rich friend or some rich bank says, don't worry, you start your business, we'll back you up, then his position is very solid. Others may say, oh, he's just a poor man, we know him. What is he doing starting this shop? It will collapse. He cannot maintain it. No, he's got backing.
Също както един беден човек, който се опитва да започне някакъв бизнес, за него е много трудно, защото той няма средства, няма пари, но ако някоя банка или един богат приятел каже, не се грижи за това, просто ще не правиш това, което си намислил, тогава той може да започне да го прави и може някакви хора да кажат, ние се знаме, той е древняк, какво е решил да прави. Това неговият бизнес скоро ще се задори, но всъщност това не е така, защото той е поддържан.
So in this way, the activities of the Lord's devotee are always just right. They are not unadika kritama. So I'll stop here. It's 9 o'clock. Any questions? Yes?
Един въпрос, свързан с пак мрежата, ако се случи Махараджа да даде такъв аргумент, как да отговорим, че пак е зависим от храната и Кришна всъщност е зависим от Браман, който е повече от теб, той е неговата храна. Всъщност всичко произлиза от Браман, паралел. Ако можеш да го дадеш, няма да е интересно. Няма да е лошо. Но ставаше въпрос, че те аргументират така, Браман е основата, Кришна е само проявеното, а Браман говори вътре в него, разбираш? Както храната за пайка е основа за неговата мрежа, така Браман е това, което говори в Кришна Бхагавати. Това е техния аргумент. Разбираш? Как да...
The question is about there's some argument from the person in relation to this example with the spider, this web. So the spider is dependent on his, but the statement of the person is that Brahman is the basis of Krishna.
Brahman talking within Krishna and Bhagavad.
But this is not what Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita.
Maybe yes.
Това всъщност, че Брахман е основата на Кришна, не е вярно, защото след Кришна казва Бхагavad Gita. Не е.
Lord Krishna very clearly says, the language is very clear, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, that the Brahman is situated on me.
Много ясно в Бхагavad Gita Кришна казва, че Бхагаван се намира в мен.
Not that I am situated on Brahman.
Не аз съм установен в това.
So this is very clear language, and the Mayavadis they don't know how to explain this verse. This is a very problematic verse for them.
Майавадите всъщност не могат да обяснят този стих. Това е много проблематичен стих.
Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am the basis. Pratishta means basis. Pratishtaham. Krishna says, it's so clear, you can't interpret it any other way. Krishna says, I am the basis of Brahman.
Това е казано много ясно на съвсем пряк смисъл в Бхагавад Гита. Кришна казва, аз съм основата на това.
Just like the sun is the basis of the sunshine.
Точно както слънцето е основата на слънцето.
So they're trying to say that the sun is a product of the sunshine. They're completely reversed. That the sun rays are coming together from outside and forming the sun globe. This is the Mayavadi philosophy. Completely stupid.
Философията на майявадите в този пример със слънцето е, че все едно очите се връщат обратно към слънцето, в същото и към една и съща точка, по такъв начин го образуват.
In Mayavadi philosophy, it means that when I turn on this light, the light is coming from all directions, going inside these bulbs. This is a fool's philosophy. Nonsense. Any other? Yes, up for me. So what's the question?
If they actually lose his...
No, but they're blinded because the Brahma Jyoti is full of light. So when one enters this vast ocean of light, shining from all sides, you see, because it's spiritual, and when the jiva goes into that spiritual light, then that means the light is shining from all sides and also from inside. It is simply light. So it's like this: if you have been in the dark, your eyes have grown accustomed to the dark, when the pupils are very big. And then suddenly a bright light shines in your face. Then you're blinded. Then you see that the image of that light is held in the eyes. So even you turn your eyes away or you close them, still it's this bright light. You can't see anything else. So like that, the jiva in the Brahma Jyoti thinks that he has become one with the light. But he is just a tiny spark of light within a great ocean. And that is shown by the fact that if he remains in that impersonal status, then eventually his own individual desires will manifest. Just like you get blinded by that light, after some time, you see the light fades away, you can see things again. After some time. So similarly, one goes into the Brahma Jyoti, for some time one is blinded like that, can only see light. But after some time, then one becomes aware of one's own existence, one's own desires. And then he gradually wants to go out of this light into the world of name and form and activity. And because he doesn't know spiritual name, form, activity, relationships, he comes under the control of the Maya Shakti to satisfy his desires.
Но след това постепенно тя отново започва да усеща своите собствени желания И тъй като тя не познава, за да може да ги удовлетвори, тя трябва да се върне в този свят на материални имена и форми, тъй като не познава духовните имена и форми.
In all devotional activities, there are three essential processes that must be there. These processes are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We must be hearing, we must be chanting, and we must be remembering Krishna. So, if you are able to do these three, then you have attained the essence of pure devotional service. So then, wherever you are, whether with the devotees or away from the devotees, your situation is perfect. And of these three processes, hearing, chanting, remembering, there is one among them which is essential, and that is remembering. You see, because it's obvious. I may be hearing and chanting, but if I'm not remembering Krishna, you see, if as soon as there's some opportunity for sense gratification, I just surrender to it, despite hearing and chanting Krishna's name, then what is that? So when we say Krishna consciousness, this famous term, Krishna consciousness, it actually means smarana, remembering Krishna always. So, smartavya satatam Vishnu, vishmartam jatachit sarva, vidi nishedusyat, etyoreva kinkara. If you take all rules and regulations together, you will find that ultimately there are only two things to be done. One is to always remember Krishna, the other is never forget him. So if you always remember Krishna, never forget him, then you are always pleasing Krishna and the spiritual master, and never displeasing. Very simple formula. Very profound. Very full of truth. Well, it's a question of their power.
Това е въпрос на тяхната сила.
Just like among human beings, there are different levels of strength seen.
Както сред човешките индивиди може да бъдат видени различни степени на сила.
Some human beings are very, very strong,
Някои са много силни,
physically or even intellectually.
физически или дори морално.
They can do things others cannot do.
И могат да правят дейности, които другите не могат.
So similarly, among the ghost community,
Същият начин сред обществото на духовете.
there are some ghosts which are very powerful, like the Brahma Rakshasas.
Има някои духове, които са много могъщи.
So although they're on the ghostly platform, they are able to influence the gross elements to a certain degree.
Така че въпреки, че те са на финна платформа, те могат да влияят на другите елементи.
Some of the most powerful, they're ghosts with mystic powers. So they appear, they disappear, they can enter someone's body, they can leave that body, they do so many things.
Някои от тях са духове, които живеят на същите, могат да се появяват и изчезнат, да стават на някои.
But you see, generally, ghosts are confined to that ghostly platform, that subtle platform of existence. Because the ghostly form of life is a form of punishment. So they're being punished.
Но в крайна сметка те са установени към това, крепени към това финно съществуване. Защото в крайна сметка съществуването като дух е наказание и те трябва да бъдат наказани.
So there are, thousands and millions of ghosts all over the place.
Има
They're everywhere. But we don't notice them, fortunately. They're unable to make their presence understood here on this platform.
те не могат да направят така, че да бъдат забелязвани на тази нива.
Only a few who are particularly empowered by demoniac potency.
Само някои, които са специално надарени с демонични.
He always does it. Calvin is known for this. And you already just asked the question that has nothing to do with it by asking if you could ask that question. So. Okay, so ask your question. Well, there are cultures, not only Chinese culture is an example, but there are many cultures, what are usually called aboriginal cultures. Just like in India, there's people who live in the jungle, they're called Adivasis. So theirs is the culture of the mode of ignorance. You see, Vedic culture is the culture of the mode of knowledge. And this Chinese culture or any Aboriginal culture, culture of mode of ignorance.
Не само християнската култура, но и другите култури, така в Индия и някои
One Chinese man told me. I asked him, in China, what is the rule for eating? And he said, we have one rule. He said, we can eat anything that keeps its back to the sun. So this is ignorance. Now, what happens is that such ignorant cultures, they contact with Vedic culture at different points in history. And thus they develop. So since very, very ancient times, there was contact between Vedic culture and China. And thus, one can see in traditional Chinese culture, there are some features that resemble Vedic culture. One can see the same thing in that old culture in South America, the Mayas and Incas. In South America. And other places. Also in Europe, in the old pre-Christian European culture. So, but because of the sinful natures of the Chinese or the South Americans or the Europeans or whoever it was, the Vedic culture did not fully manifest. Yeah? Satisfied? Okay. Yes. Complete or Purna is the name of Krishna. Om Purnam Daha Purnam Idam. The word Purna means Krishna. He is the complete. So we are incomplete, and everything we do is incomplete. Unadika Kutam Kutam. So we have to simply become connected with the complete. And that is done by the process of Krishna consciousness, as I was explaining to the Kunjarasi Vilasi. Krishna consciousness means to remember Krishna in all of our activities. Cetasa sarva karmani mani sannyasa matra. Lord Krishna said, in all your activities, sarva karmani cetasa, you be conscious of me, you remember me. So that is why we hear and chant. And That is why we do everything we do in this movement. To remember Krishna. That's what actually makes our activities complete. I've told you in the past, Srila Prabhupada, even in explaining the service of book distribution, he used to say that this is also simply a means to help you remember Krishna. When you're distributing books or whatever you're doing, offering arti, if you're not remembering Krishna, then the activity is not complete, and actually you're in danger. There is risk. There is risk of falling into Maya. Whether on the street or even right here on the altar, if you're not remembering Krishna, you can fall into Maya. That one of Lord Chaitanya's servants, when he went to South India, he had a servant named Kala Krishna Das, who was always right next to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he also, one time, became forgetful and he got influenced by Maya. So, even though he was the personal assistant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he traveled with him through South India. He saw personally all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Still, because he was a little forgetful, he was not complete in Krishna consciousness. That's a very nice question. If you want to know how to become complete in Krishna consciousness, that your activities are complete, and that you're a complete devotee in all ways. This is the way. One must practice to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And most wonderfully, if we practice this always remembering Krishna, never forgetting him, then by that remembrance and meditation, smaranam, we get strength, we get power, we get protection from Krishna to increase our service more and more and more. That state of completeness, it is not static. That you say, oh yes, now I've done everything, now I'm over. Because if you're actually remembering Krishna, then you're remembering that Krishna is so great, so wonderful. How can I possibly do enough for him? I have to do more and more and more. That's automatic if one is remembering Krishna. He's always trying to do more and more and more for Krishna. He's never at rest. He's never satisfied, thinking, yes, I did enough. Now it's complete. It's never complete in that sense.
повече и повече.
Yes, last question. In Atlantis. Well, Lanka is mentioned. There may be some connection. But I must say this, first of all, this history or whatever it is, this story, this idea of Atlantis, when you trace it back, it is very unsure what this place was, if it existed at all. Because the oldest reference to Atlantis is from the Greek philosopher Plato. And from what he wrote about Atlantis, it is not clear if he really meant a real place or if it was just an idea, some conception he had that he wanted to present, and presenting it by saying, yes, there is a place called Atlantis, but it's just his own idea, just some picture he wanted to give for the people. But anyway, there was a place long, long time ago called Lanka, the Golden Land. It did not exist in the Atlantic Ocean. It existed south of India. But I always think there's some similarity in the names, Atlantis and Lanka. So sometimes maybe there is a connection. I don't know. And Lanka was a very highly advanced civilization. But it was demoniac also. It was fully materialistic. It was the abode of Ravana. Then after Ravana was killed, Ravana's brother Bibhisana was a great devotee. He was made king of Lanka by Lord Ram. So Lanka existed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This golden land in the middle of the ocean. But with the Kali Yuga, as Kali Yuga approached, it sank beneath the waves. Just like also Lord Krishna's city, Dwarka, it was covered by the waves. That's the other possibility. Maybe Atlantis means Dwarka. But as I said, the whole idea of Atlantis, as it is known in Europe, may just be Plato's speculation. We don't know. Because all of the literature about Atlantis only goes back to that, to Plato. Oh, it's now late. We have to stop. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Sухотра Maharaj ki jai.